Sandfall Interactive's ambitious turn-based RPG feels like the modern take genre fans have been longing for, with slick and precise combat. Trailers and gameplay demos have shown how Sandfall Interactive's stylish genre take has the goods in terms of visuals, but what intrigued me more is the way it would try to make the classic "you move then I move" breed of combat exciting again for a 21st century audience. After all, recent turn-based battle systems have mostly been reserved for retro-themed releases, outside of Persona, that is. Hence why I'm pleased to say that, so far, from what I've played, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is on track to deliver a brilliantly fresh twist on the format, further complemented by an intriguing story and world. The first thing that struck me about Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is just how unabashedly French this universe is. Because, in case the wispy hair and prominent mustaches weren't enough of a tell, Sandfall Interactive's decision to fully lean into a Belle Epoque brand of dark fantasy gives it a much different flavour and stylistic flair compared to its genre peers. It's a style that still results in plenty of creative creature designs that are fun to fight, with many already seemingly set to rival the likes of Dark Souls and Bloodborne in terms of how hellishly grotesque they can sometimes appear. I can honestly say that I've never played a AAA turn-based RPG that rivals Clair Obscur Expedition 33's grandeur in the way it looks and feels, and that's only discussing it on the surface. Digging deeper into its systems, and there's plenty that's familiar about it, yet this didn't dampen the game's ability to keep me surprised and invested during my short time playing. Battles play out in traditional turn-based fashion, but layered in are all sorts of mechanical spins to help players stay engaged. The main example is how you can respond to enemy attacks. Dodging, jumping, and parrying are all viable options here, but it's only the latter that will give you a chance to deal damage with a vengeful riposte. Parrying comes with a high degree of risk, however, and is often the hardest to pull off due to the precise timing required. I'd be lying if I said that I nailed parrying the first time every time, a factor that led me to often learn enemy attack patterns using the far safer dodge before attempting something far more ambitious. Also adding some spice is each party member's unique gimmick per se. Gustav, as the game's main hero, voiced dashingly by Daredevil's Charlie Cox, has the ability to build up what's called overcharge. The better he attacks, dodges and parries, the more damage his hits will deal steadily over the course of a battle. Then there's his companion Mael, the titular expedition's youngest member, who can switch stances based on her special attacks that can cause her to double down more into offensive or defensive techniques, depending on the situation. I got the sense while playing that these specific attributes barely scratch the surface with regards to how players will be able to influence battles and build their own preferred turn-based loadouts, especially since learning new special moves, known in-universe as Pictos, seems to happen at a fairly quick rate. My preview build threw me into the story during a moment set shortly after the game's prologue, where I felt a bit like Gustav in that I wondered what the heck was going on at first. The idea of playing as a squad trying to stop a great evil after several other expeditions before it have failed is extremely cool, no doubt, but outside of what makes the characters tick, I felt like I was thrown in at the deep end a bit here narratively. Luckily, the settings I got to explore never failed to be alluring, especially by the time I hit an area relatively early on called the Flying Waters, which saw me do battle with countless creatures in what looked like an ocean's underlying seabed. This is a game running in Unreal Engine 5, and despite the core development team being relatively small, it's amazing what they've been able to pull off. Structurally, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is mostly a linear affair, sharing a lot in common with 2018's God of War in that there are many fancy corridors to explore, but also plenty of veins and arteries that more often than not lead to useful collectibles. The one drawback to this setup I'm finding so far is the lack of an in-game map, as it makes knowing which path I've already explored a bit tricky to work out. There is a map you can access in the overworld as you're travelling from important points of interest, but one dedicated to each distinct biome wouldn't have gone amiss. However, as confusing as this can make roaming the land, it's only this and the poor lip syncing on characters I can point towards in terms of real negatives so far. Most other presentational aspects are flawless. If you're a relapsed Final Fantasy fan disappointed at the franchise's recent turn towards real-time action, or hungry for a snazzier take on turn-based battles, so far Clair Obscur Expedition 33 appears set to scratch this oddly specific itch. The incredibly involved, fast-paced combat would be enough to give Sandfall Interactive's ambitious RPG an edge over the modern competition, but it's backed up by an incredibly shiny exterior and engaging characters characters that helped make this Belle Epoque world one I can't wait to explore further. Prior to my 3 hours of hands-on time playing, I went in expecting Clair Obscur Expedition 33 to be an underdog, yet the deeper I delved into its mechanics and systems, I came out thinking it had the potential to be one of 2025's standout titles. What are your thoughts? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below, and consider subscribing to the Mirror Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.